Hello and welcome to today's video. Today I am going through some of my inspiration for knitting for the spring 2024 season, as well as some of my more definite plans. So let's just get into it. All right, hello. I hope that you are all having a great day, week, whatever it is. It's kind of at the end of every February in Colorado, we have what I like to call a fake spring. So we're currently experiencing our fake spring week where it's in the 50s or 60s every day and sunny, and I'm excited for spring to come. And then of course next week it'll probably snow or soon after, but for now I'm enjoying the warmish weather and reflecting now on what I want to make for the spring season. So I've got some of my inspiration lined up today, as well as some plans, but you'll see as I talk through some of my plans that I'm leaving a little bit more space this year or this season for creativity and other things to kind of inspire me as they come up. So let's just get into it. And yeah, excited to show this all with you. So I recently started using Notion to do a lot of different things, a lot of stuff with my work, but also doing a lot of knitting planning through Notion, which if you haven't used before, it's a productivity software. It's great. This is not like an ad or anything about Notion, but if you have not heard of it before, it's a great productivity software, and I will be showing kind of my spring knitting plans Notion page today as I talk through this. So I recently started using Notion to do a lot of different things, a lot of stuff with my work, but also doing a lot of knitting planning through Notion, which if you haven't used before, it's a productivity software. It's great. This is not like an ad or anything about Notion, but if you have not heard of it before, it's a great productivity software, and I will be showing kind of my spring knitting plans Notion page today as I talk through this. So first, when it comes to inspiration, I this spring have been thinking a lot more about basics. I think in my past seasons, winter, I was really inspired by the Nutcracker Ballet and looking for some features or knitwear that kind of gave me a ballerina look or something like that, or in the past talk about Gilmore Girls as inspiration for the fall. This season for spring, I'm thinking a lot more just about simplicity and elevated simplicity and just things that I can be comfortable in and feel cute in, but also be incredibly comfortable, and something that I don't worry about wearing. So just more casual things that still look really nice, but just are a little bit more casual. Whereas, I've made a cabled Athens cardigan before, or a Marissa cardigan, and those they're slightly fancier. They have this kind of, cabled feature or something. They look very dressed up in a lot of ways. You can dress them down, but generally they look dressed up. And so it's harder to then wear those every day when I work from home and things like that. So I'm just thinking this season a lot more about simple garments that I will get more use out of, and elevating those where I can with my color choice, my fiber choice, or adding some pretty details, but still keeping them casual enough that I will not be worried or feel awkward wearing them at my work from home job, for instance. So I have some photos here. You can see, my line or kind of inspiration sentence for this season is elevated basics for casual spring. I have pictures of workwear with like high neck tank tops. I love this raglan V-neck sweater. I think it's maybe either just with brioche stitch or just a very, very loose gauge rib, but I really like that. I love this picture of, one of my goals here for this season is to knit the perfect everyday sweater. So here are some sweaters I pulled out for that. I don't know why I'm in love with this picture of this woman just with eggs in her sweater. I want a sweater that I could carry eggs from my chickens in. I don't have chickens, nor do I want chickens, but I would like a sweater which I could do this with. And I want the illusion of having chickens, if that makes sense. I also love this sweater. It's a cardigan, but I love just casually throwing something over like a gingham dress or a skirt, keeping you warm from the beach. And I love it looks like maybe an Aran gauge or maybe even a bulky gauge here. And just, it looks comfortable. This one, it looks so comfortable. The fuzz coming off of it that you can see from the photo and styled with the skirt. I love that. I love this one too. This girl is so cute. But I think this is definitely a brioche sweater, just with some nice pants, and it's clearly snowy here, but still kind of what I want for spring. This sweater as well over a skirt. I think we're seeing a theme here where I just want a nice big sweater that I can wear over some cute skirts or cute dresses. Same with this one. Again, skirt over dresses. I also love the split hem here and the 2x2 rib details. And I'm sorry, I can't zoom out. This is my only option on Ravelry, but that's okay. I've written down some things that I'm looking for when I was kind of thinking through the patterns I wanted. And so oversized and long is one of the things that I really want to knit this season. That can include a raglan or a drop shoulder. I'd also love to try designing something like that for myself. And then I've talked about this before, but when things are longer, because my hips are so much wider than my waist and my bust, I prefer a split hem. So I want to use split hems again to get this kind of, you can see here, it gives this nice flare at the bottom where you have room for your bigger hips, or if you want to wear a fuller skirt with your sweater, it gives more room for that so it doesn't kind of like cut off and then flare out. So definitely will be continuing to utilize the split hem this season. I also want to focus a lot more on the fiber content I'm using, and I want to focus on getting things that are easier to care for and next to skin soft, given that I'm trying to knit things that I want to wear every day. Some of my garments, I don't want to wear them every day because it's a full Surrey, fluffy alpaca garment, and that makes it difficult to wear if I'm going to get warm, or I'm considering, I'll have to fully use my bathtub, soak this thing again, pin it out again, like that. It's just a large commitment to wash a lot of the things I have. So looking to find things that are a little bit easier to wash and care for, as well as things that I'm really happy to have next to my skin all the time, even as I get a little bit warmer. They don't immediately become like so itchy, things like that. So the fibers I'm looking at are particularly superwash. I've never actually knit a garment fully out of superwash wool, and I think that I would like to do that this season. I have the yarn for that. I think it'll be nice to have something that I know I can machine wash if I need to. So I'm planning on doing that, focusing as well on merino and then Surrey as well. A little bit of Surrey, not too much, but essentially just staying away from Highland wools for this season and getting closer to things that I know are going to be comfortable against my skin all day. And I know that I like superwash and the way that feels. I know that I like merino and will feel good in that. And I know that I really like Surrey, and I'm probably not going to knit any 100% Surrey garments, but I know that generally that doesn't bother me, and held with another material, it's going to make something that is really soft, gives some strength to the fabric as well, and just is going to wear well for me. So that's kind of the things I'm looking at for fit and material and fiber. Color palette wise, my color palette for this season is eggs. You can see this picture here. That's going to be on the screen as well. But I am feeling very inspired by eggs. You know, there's, as you can see, there's a variety of eggs that you can get in different colors, the shells, you know, chickens laid. I guess I'm feeling very inspired by my own having chickens this season. I don't want chickens, but I'm getting a lot of inspiration from like chicken owner. I don't know, maybe I'd call my spring knitting inspiration like chicken core. I don't know what my inspiration really is here, but I love this picture of all of these different varieties of chicken eggs, and a lot of the colors in it are just really speaking to me. So I pulled out 4 colors specifically that I really love that you'll actually see in some of the yarn that I already had for this season. So there's kind of this, let me see if you can see, but there's at the top, there's this very kind of sea greenish, like a very muted seafoam green, I'd say, and then like a nice berry color, or like a muted pink, like a purplish pink but muted, and then the color in the middle here is supposed to be a little bit lighter, but just kind of a nice grayish, I'd say. It's definitely a grayish or a gray beige color. And then finally feeling very inspired by kind of the golden comet or olive eggs that have this nice like warm terracotta-ish brown. So those are kind of the 4 colors that I pulled out as definitely very inspired by, but I love the entire color palette here of these eggs. So definitely having a spring season of eggs here. So that's fun. And then I'll get to what I have written here below in a second, but these are some of the specific yarns and colors that I'm inspired by. And then I also am inspired by getting some work basics for myself. As I said, I do work mostly remote, but I will be traveling actually in April to meet some colleagues in the Washington, D.C. area. I'm so excited to go to D.C. in April. I'll probably have missed the cherry blossoms, but hopefully I can still see a few of them and just enjoy that. But that does also mean I can probably wear knitwear professionally, which is nice. So I would love to make a high neck tank top and just have some more nice cardigans as well. And then my final thing that I'm thinking about when it comes to my inspiration is having more space for creativity this season. I definitely, in my past few seasons of knitting, fall and winter especially, had a lot going on and I rushed through a lot of different projects. So I, made, gosh, I don't remember the exact count, but I made so many things through winter and through fall. I had so many plans for myself, and I talked about this in my winter knitting inspirations video, or I think it was in my planning video, but I did not get probably half of my fall knitting plans done. And I kind of felt like embarrassed about that, or like, oh, I shouldn't have put these on my list. That was way too ambitious, and I should be thinking more about what I put on my list. And I talked about maybe like, instead of calling my knitting plans videos or calling my knitting plans, I should call them something like a menu or a list, basically just something about like, oh, these are the things that are inspiring me right now. Like I'm putting them in a specialized, like, here are my top choices for this season, but I don't want to feel nailed down to them. And so this kind of comes from that, dwelling more on what I want to be driving my knitting. And I don't want it to be a list of 10 garments that I'm like, here, I want these 10 garments. I'm deciding this at the beginning of the season, and then whatever happens, I'm going to knit them anyways. So this season, I've left some more room in my plans intentionally to allow for some space for creativity or inspiration to strike. So I also would love to design for myself this quarter or this season. So that means that I've never designed before. I need to allocate more time for that. So something that, a pattern that if I bought the pattern already made for it would take me maybe 2 weeks to knit. It might take me 2 months to knit now because I'm doing everything from scratch. So I want to make space for that. I also want to probably start having more projects on the go at once. So I am almost exclusively a monogamous knitter unless I really have to knit 2 things at once, and that served me well in the past. But I have noticed a trend in myself, and I've talked about this a little bit before, but when I'm knitting one thing, I'm not quite as thoughtful when it comes to decisions, because I just want to keep knitting, if that makes sense. So as an example, like I was knitting my Friday slipover recently, and I actually ended up knitting a few projects at the same time because I was doing it as a knit along, and I wanted to be knitting closer to the pace of the person I was knitting the Friday slipover with. I don't know why I'm being elusive. It was Hannah from Pages and Pearls. It was lovely. So because I was knitting multiple things at the same time, I knit a pair of socks at the same time. When I got to certain decision points, especially about adding a split hem to the garment, I was able to step back and work on my socks while I was thinking about the split hem on the Friday slipover, so that I still had something to knit on while I was watching TV, or I'm in a lot of camera off meetings that I like to knit during, things like that. I could still have something to knit on during those times, and I didn't feel like, oh, I'm fully stalled here and I'm not getting any progress done. But I also gave myself to actually really think about what features I wanted in my slipover and the pros and cons of doing a split hem versus not. And I did end up deciding to do the split hem after I kind of took some time from it and really thought about it and talked about it with a few people. So I want to continue that a little bit so that I can really dwell on decisions and be more mindful before just deciding the easiest thing or deciding the quickest thing just because I want to keep knitting. So those are kind of my thoughts of inspiration. I think that, you know, it feels a little bit boring to say like, oh, I want to make basics this season and I want to knit in pastel colors and I don't want a big queue. Like, those are all things that feel kind of or they feel incongruous with sharing my knitting plans and sharing my knitting inspiration because they are pretty basic. But I also think that there is value in going back to basics and just enjoying the seasonality of egg colors and enjoying the simplicity of a well-made sweater that I can wear every day that's in a more basic color. So, well, these are maybe basic knitting plans. They're not the most exciting. I hope that you can still be excited about them with me, because I'm actually really excited about diving into these because I think that I'm actually living, I don't want to say living my values, that sounds deeper than it is, but I'm actually following through with what I've said so far this year about a lot of my intentions around knitting things that I actually really want, giving myself more time, and just I'm getting closer to having an intentionally knit wardrobe instead of things that just bring me a lot of joy in the moment because it's a fun color or it's a really cool pattern. It's, you know, I don't want to be caught up by trends in knitwear, and I don't want to be caught up by just knitting something because it's this cool pop or it's got these cool features. I really want to be thinking through what is going to fit my day-to-day life when I do work from home. And my boyfriend and I are both homebodies. Like, we don't do a ton of fancy dates. So I really need to be thoughtful about what I knit because I'm not going to wear a million lacy, complicated cardigans in my day-to-day life just because I'm a little bit simpler than that. So embracing that and embracing the fun. I'm so excited about these egg colors. I don't know. Help me figure out what I should call this. Like egg core? No, it's not egg core, but like, yeah, egg girl. egg girl aesthetic. Is that what we're gonna say? I don't know. Maybe chicken coop core? I don't know. Let me know down below what you think, this kind of inspired by the different colors that chicken eggs can be, and inspiration from this photo of harvesting eggs in your sweater. What is that? I know that Casey from Young Folks Knits is talking about garden girl. Maybe it is like coop homestead girl. I don't know. Coop girl? Chicken girl? Is chicken girl a good one? I don't know. That feels dumb, but let me know what you think we should call this. But I'm very excited about it. So without further ado, that is kind of my inspiration, and I want to get into my plans. But before I get into my plans, my spring plans, I do want to quickly reflect on my winter plans. So I decided to make 8 things in winter between about middle of November through middle to end of February, and you can see by the statuses that I finished 5 things. I am working currently on one of my plans, and then 2 of these were delayed in 2 different seasons, either spring or summer. So we can go through quickly on each one. I made a hat and mitts. Let me enlarge this picture for you. So I made the iris hat and the World's Simplest Mittens, the iris hat by Sawyer Nordland and the World's Simplest Mittens by Tin Can Knits. And they're lovely. I've used them a lot for walks. These are all out of order, by the way, but I'm just pulling them up as they come. So I did not make the Seaway pullover, which I plan on making, but I did use the same yarn, which was the Pearl Soho Good Wool in the color Wintergrass, to make the Oakley sweater, which is by Stitching Simply, and I test knit it. And so here is that. It has this lovely cable down the raglan, and I decided it hit a similar goal of what I really wanted out of the Seaway pullover. I was able to achieve with the Oakley sweater, and I was able to test knit for my friend Rachel. So I was very happy to do that. So that changed, but kind of kept the heart of why I wanted to make the Seaway pullover. I made the Friday slipover out of the Joshua Tree National Park Surrey by Explorer Knits. And then I'm not naming every single yarn here perfectly. I've talked about them a lot before. Everything's on my Ravelry if you are interested. But this nice slipover, here it is in a plant store. I made a lot of festive mini projects. So here's a picture of the sock garland I made, which is also right behind me. I also made a few ornaments for my aunt and uncle. I did not make a triangulum blanket. I'm planning on doing that in the summer instead. My November jacket is a current whip, so we don't need to go through that. My Edgar sweater, which is a pattern by Colibri by Joanna. I think it's Joanna. I actually changed the pattern, and we'll talk about that soon, but the yarn I was planning on using for that is this yarn by Explorer Knits, and I'm planning on using that for something else in the spring. And then finally, I finished the blouse number 1 light, which is my favorite things knitwear pattern, and I used Poppy and Spruce Fibers Surrey in the color Fuzzy Blanket to make this, and was able to wear it for New Year's. So I feel pretty content with what I accomplished for my winter knitting plans. 6 out of 8 is pretty good. 2 are delayed. Nothing was canceled or scrapped. Some things were maybe changed to a different pattern, and some things were delayed. But overall, I knit everything, and I'm happy with the intention I put into my knitting plans and what I got out of it. So without further ado, my spring knitting plans this year are, start here, only 6 things, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Only 6 things. That isn't to say that this is all I will knit. I also know I didn't put on, I am doing the 12 and 12 socks where I'm knitting a pair of socks every month. So there will be about 3 pairs of socks within my spring season of knitting. I have a friend's birthday in spring that I'm planning on knitting something for. But other than obligated knits or socks, this is what I'm planning on knitting, and I've intentionally only chosen 3 or 6 things. So let's just go through the list. The first thing I want to make is the twist loop top. This is a pattern by Other Loops. I'll pull up the link to look at together. So twist loop top by Other Loops. This is a pretty popular pattern. Others have definitely talked about it before, but it's got this wonderful cable here right down the middle, and then otherwise it's just a ribbed high neck tank top that I really want to wear when I'm working. I would love to see if I could finish this before I go to DC in April. I honestly don't know if that would happen. I don't know how likely that is, but this would be a really nice, that would be a nice place to wear it. I love the way that the designer styled it with the dress pants here, so I would love to recreate that, but we'll see if I can. So twist loop top, and then I'm planning on using this yarn, which it's the Knitting for Olive Merino in the color Wild Berries, and it's a beautiful pink. It's kind of like this slight purpley pink, and it's a little bit of a darker pink than others that I've used before, so I'm excited to have that, and I have 3 balls of this to make the twist loop top with. My next knitting plan for the season is the Olive cardigan. This is a pattern by Knitting for Olive. Here is what it looks like. It's a really, really beautiful cardigan. It uses it's by Knitting for Olive, so it uses the Knitting for Olive Merino and the soft silk mohair held together. I think it's 2 strands of soft silk mohair and 1 strand of merino. And I already own this pattern, which is nice. And yeah, it's just a nice kind of lace motif to make these beautiful leaves. And I'm really looking forward to knitting this one. I also think that I'm going to modify it so that instead of having buttons, it'll have snaps so that I don't have to choose buttons, which is going to be really nice. I don't have to choose buttons and I don't have to knit buttonholes. So that'll be really, really nice. And I'm planning on using these yarns held together. So these are both Explorer Knits and fibers in the colorway Docile. This is the Surrey alpaca lace from them, and this is the Earthy Sock, which is a non-superwash base, which does change the color a little bit to have the non-superwash. You may see it's got a little bit more tonality than their Explorer Knits tonal colors typically do. Or not tonality, but there's just a lot more color variation. Yeah, see? Yeah, I think you can see that, but there's a lot more variation in the colors here on the non-superwash base, but given that I'm holding these 2 together, that'll tone it down a little bit. And I actually really like the tonality, so I think it's going to look really good in the olive cardigan and going to be just a really lovely piece for me to wear throughout the spring. So I'm really looking forward to that one. I think maybe I'll cast this one on like end of March, early April, but we'll see. We'll see when the inspiration really strikes, but it's so pretty. So I'm really looking forward to that and that plan. Next thing I'm planning is to make this Fisherman's Rib balaclava. Let me pull it up. The Nomad Hood by Suzanne Mueller, also known as Paula Strict, looks like this. And I think that it's a really nice pattern. I already own it, which is nice. I bought it like when I first started knitting because I was thinking I would love a balaclava, and for some reason I thought that I could make a fisherman's balaclava in my first, I think I wanted this as my 3rd project. So I never knit it up because it was hard. So I'm finally feeling ready for it. And I want to make a fade version with probably these 4 yarns. These are leftovers I have from knitting a bunch of sweater swatches for Poppy and Spruce Fibers. So I knit all of the sweater swatches of their variegated colorways for Poppy and Spruce Fibers, and I have about 40 grams of DK weight yarn left over from each colorway. So I have 10 40-gram balls, or 40-gram balls. So I'm planning on using those 4 colors together to kind of make a fade, where I start with this color. It's kind of vomiting here, but start with this color, move into this color, bring in this color, and then, oh my gosh, end in this color, which is really beautiful. Kind of, I keep calling it peach yogurt. I think it's called Hello There Sporgus. I don't know why the colorway names won't stick in my head for this collection, but I love every colorway, and I think the fade of these 4 is going to look really nice. And I've been needing a balaclava or something because it's really windy here, and I'm trying to walk every day, and I just need something to kind of protect my ears as I'm walking. And so I'm also planning on maybe doing a slight modification here, where around the rib I might change it to be double knitting, so that I can put an I-cord through and be able to kind of tie the I-cord a little bit tighter, so it's easy to get on and off as needed, and I can wear it loosely if it's not super windy and I just want to keep my ears warm. But if it does get windy, I can pull it a little tighter. So we'll see about that once I get into it, but otherwise I'm pretty excited about this pattern. I know it's a little bit of a winter garment. Well, it's definitely a winter accessory, so it feels a little bit late to be knitting it in the spring, but it stays pretty windy in Colorado for quite a long time. It'll be, you know, for the next few months, the average temperature will probably be in the 50s, but it'll be windy. So I think I'll definitely still get some wear out of this and be able to wear it next season as well. So I feel fine knitting it now, even though maybe I should have made it in like December if I wanted the most use out of it, but that's okay. There will be another December to come, and I will still get some use out of it this season. I'm considering also I have a lot of leftover drops brushed alpaca silk in a powder pink color. It's just very simple light pink. I've used it before, and so I'm considering holding that with my fade colors, just to get a slightly thicker fabric that is hopefully a little bit more windproof. So we'll see, but excited about that plan as well. The next plan is really exciting because I'm planning on knitting something from my own pattern or designing something myself. I don't know if this would be released at all. Have no idea. But essentially, I really want to design for myself and potentially for others a oversized basic V-neck raglan. I am thinking to do a thick raglan seam. Is that called a seam? I don't know. A thick raglan area, have double ribbing for the collar and cuffs, have it be a V-neck, have it be shaped so there's some short rows in the back, double fold the V-neck collar so that it's nice and squishy, make a split hem with it being longer in the back. I probably want about 27 centimeters of positive ease for me, have tapered sleeves, and then at the end I want it to almost come over my butt. So I have a lot of knitting ahead of me on this one. I have some inspiration pictures where I just really like the raglan here. Obviously would change a lot of the features, but it's almost like an I-cord raglan, which is interesting. So I'm just looking for some sort of standout raglan feature. So I've highlighted some, not sure what exactly I'd want to do here, but I like this one too, where it comes from the ribbing. That would be interesting. This is the twist loop sweater by Other Loops. I really like the thick raglan here. I would change a lot of features about any of these, but I'm just looking at the raglans. Yeah, those are my inspirations for now, and none of them are V-necks, which is funny. But I'm just looking at kind of like a nice raglan detail that is a little bit thicker, I want it to not have any holes, and I just want it to be big and oversized and comfy. And I'm going to use this yarn. So this is the Hello There Sporgus colorway. I think it is. I'll put it on the screen if it's not. But I think it's the Hello There Sporgus colorway by Poppy and Spruce Fibers from her recent I Liken You a Lot collection. And it's a beautiful color. I kept calling it peach yogurt. Let's see if you can see some more of the color variation. Yeah, I kept calling it peach yogurt because it's got these really nice little bits of like a very baby kind of ballerina pink, and then some buttercream color almost. And yeah, I really like the color. It reminds me a lot of peach yogurt. And so I got enough skeins of this because I sample knit for Poppy and Spruce Fibers. I was compensated with a gift card for this collection. And so I ordered, I forget how many skeins now, but enough skeins of this to make a nice oversized sweater for myself on her new non-superwash fingering base. And then I also will pair it with a suri of some kind. I'm thinking the Lana Grossa set of suri. I haven't used that one before, and I would love to try it out. But that will come later. So interested in that, and I'm really excited to do that for myself. I don't know if it would ever be released. Probably unlikely, given that I think it's a pretty simple design and it would be my first time designing anything, but I'm excited to kind of just give myself a new challenge when it comes to knitting and hopefully make something I really, really love and am proud to show off. So yeah, that's cool. My next plan here is another exciting thing. I am trying to get into spinning. So far, my attempts have not gone very well. I just actually ordered a drop spindle, a more traditional drop spindle. I ordered this Turkish drop spindle. I saw Knitting with Ev recommend it, and I think that this is a really good spindle if you're a little bit more advanced, because you can actually ply from on the spindle because you have both ends available to you, which is really nice. But I think that I maybe need to start simpler with the more traditional drop spindle, where it's kind of stick on the bottom, little sphere of wood on the top, and then it's got a little metal hook. So I think I need to start there. I ordered some 100% Polworth fibers, it's a nice hand-dyed comb. I'll see if I can put a picture of it. And I want to spin that up and then knit it into something this season. I'm hoping that I can achieve a DK weight with my fiber. We'll see. And I only got one. It's 100 grams. So I want to spin up 100 grams and then knit something. I think I can do that in one season. I don't know. Maybe I'm delusional. Let me know if that seems like a longer time period project, but I'm hoping I can do it. But yeah, I got this Polworth fibers. It's 100% Polworth. It's beautiful. It's a nice pinky colorway. I'll have a picture. And I think that hopefully I can get a DK weight, but it's okay if it's a little bit heavier. It would make sense given that it's my first project, but hoping for a DK weight, and then I can knit something like the Sophie scarf or just another like simple scarf pattern that I know that there's going to be a lot of difference in the weights of my first spin and things like that. So I think that a garter stitch project would be maybe best, or another like textured project where it's already got a lot of texture going on. So the extra texture of the fabric or of the yarn will add to it, not take away. So maybe a Sophie scarf, maybe something in like moss stitch or seed stitch. I'm not sure totally yet. It depends a lot on what weight I can spin, but have that planned for this season, and we'll see. We'll see. I think I can do it though. And then my last plan for this season is to make a basic cardigan with a 2x2 rib. So I already own the April cardigan pattern, so that's what this looks like if you've never seen it before. It's the April cardigan by Petite Knit. It uses a DK weight yarn, And I've knit one before, but I made a very cropped and fitted version. I also used mohair, which is how I figured out that I do not tolerate mohair well. So I want to maybe revisit this pattern and make it more oversized, the correct length, and use a 100% superwash yarn so that it is really next to skin soft and I'm not worried about getting it dirty. I'd still, not want to get it dirty, but a little bit less concerned about cleaning it and things like that. So I might make the April cardigan again, given that I own the pattern, and I think that if I size up to have a little bit more of an oversized fit and I change the ribbing from 1x1 rib to 2x2 rib, I could achieve the look I wanted. Or I might also do the Eva cardigan, which is also by Petite Knit. I at first really didn't like this pattern, but the more and more I see it, the more and more I like it. So that's been interesting, but it's hard to see in this navy color. Let's see. It's another 2x2. It's a design for 2x2 rib, which is nice, and it's another kind of interesting sleeve construction cardigan, and I really love it. One feature I really love that is there. I love the fact that on the button band, Petite Knit did not use an Italian bind off. It's a visible bind off, which you don't see a lot in modern stitch knitting patterns, and I actually really like the way it looks. So I would be really, really interested to do something like that potentially. I don't know why. It's my favorite feature of this cardigan. I also love the 2x2 rib and everything about it, and I like the oversized look. But I feel like I own the April cardigan, and I could get a similar look to the Eva cardigan with the April cardigan pattern. So I'm kind of debating on those as we go, but one of those, or maybe another DK weight cardigan if another strikes my fancy, but I would like to have 2x2 rib on it and have it be pretty simple and like a v-neck. And I want to use this yarn for it. Oh my gosh. This yarn. So this is the colorway Dust Bunny by Apothecary Fibers. I also in January sample knit. I didn't really sample knit. I knit swatches for Apothecary Fibers, and this was one of the colorways I swatched from her most recent collection, Gathering of Fairies. So after that collection, with the compensation I received for sample knitting, I got myself 5 skeins of Dust Bunny. I don't know if I said the colorway name. This is Dust Bunny by Apothecary Fibers. I got 5 skeins of the Dust Bunny on her Druid DK, which is a superwash merino DK yarn base. I'm very excited about that. I also, sadly, good for her. I think it sounds like a good family decision, but Apothecary Fibers is actually stopping dyeing soon. So I'm glad that I did buy the yarn I needed, because I was kind of upset with myself for the fact that I bought this yarn, because I'm on a yarn ban, but I had to spend my money because my compensation was a gift card and can't use that anywhere else. It has to be on yarn, and now her shop is closing soon, so I'm glad I placed that order and I can enjoy her wonderful yarn. I feel weird spending so much on like a beige yarn, or like a grayish. It's kind of like a grayish beige color, but I was in love with the swatch of this. I almost didn't want to send it back because it's just such a nice, neutral, warm gray, cool beige color that just like made me feel something. And so it is worth it to me to buy a hand-dyed beige, even though to some people it might be silly. And before I knit this up, it did seem silly, but sometimes it's worth it to enjoy. It was the color it spoke to me so much. Like normally I feel like I would want to go for the most variegated hand-dyed to get the most value for my money, but like a nice hand-dyed tonal in a neutral color, so nice, because the dimension you get from the color, variety of hand-dyed is so worth it. So I'm going to use this yarn. And then I also am going to use these buttons. These are from Pigeon Wishes and Marlene from Marlene Knits. Yeah. Marlene Knits. Why am I like Marlene's Makes? No, it's Marlene's Knits. Marlene Knits. I'll have her channel tagged below, and most people have probably seen her. I don't know why I'm blanking on the exact name right now, but Marlene, she so kindly sent these to me because I won a giveaway. She was doing a giveaway for some subscriber number. I forget what exactly, or her 1-year anniversary. I don't know. She was doing a little giveaway for some accomplishment on her YouTube, and so I commented something in her description and won these buttons, which she sent all the way from Germany, and they're so pretty. I like to, like, a lot of resin buttons are not flat. They have like a little bit of a lip and then the buttons inside, but these ones are fully flat, which I really like. And I think it pairs really well with this yarn. So I'm looking forward to pairing these for some sort of V-neck cardigan. So yay. Okay, yeah, those are all my plans. I'm really excited. I think that I have a good season ahead of me when it comes to my knitting. I'm looking forward to moving a little bit slower, embracing the chicken girl aesthetic. I don't want to be around chickens at all. I don't know why. Like, I'm feeling very inspired by the look of chickens and the look of like raising chickens, but I would not like that at all. I've been around chickens before. They're cute, they're nice, but they get a lot of weird diseases and they're loud. So not looking to be around chickens, but would like to look like I could be around chickens. And I would like to knit basically every single color of a chicken egg. So enjoying the chicken girl aesthetic, I guess. And yeah, it's going to be a fun season ahead. I hope that you are inspired as well for the spring, or I guess if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, the fall. Let me know down below what you're planning on making. If you have any definite plans or just some inspiration when it comes to colors or features you're looking for, let me know. I'd love to hear it. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again next week. Okay, bye.